Welcome to week 9, Math 25. We've done all the new things that we have for the class. So we're just having a review week, and I'm very glad that as soon as class starts, Donna has a question for us to work on. I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time this week just bringing up a random practice final and working through it together. If you don't have questions, then looking at a practice final tends to make you say, oh, here's a question. But getting the things that you know you have questions on first is always good. So in the homework, the turn-in homework for business decisions and charge options, the first 7 problems had this table, fill it out. And the question that was asked is about numbers 9 and 10. So let's work on that. So problem 9 asks, what percentage of the first month's payment was interest? Oh, and that should actually have a question mark. So let me put a note on that. So this one, you don't have to do anything previously. We can say, here's the first month. And while we wait for that to transfer, so the percent is going to be our part over our whole. That should be something that makes a lot of sense by now. So what percentage of the first month's payment was interest? We have the interest is here and the payment is here. So those are the two numbers we're comparing. So the part is the 2718. The whole is 140. Top divided by bottom changes that to a decimal.
I just want to growl now.
Okay, by the way, my wife said a Zoom meeting upstairs, so if you hear her, let me know. Hopefully my fancy directional mic is good enough.
I can hear her.
You can hear her. I can try to, here, let me at least mention it to her. I'll be right back. Okay, and then, so that's about 19%. So far so good. We're going to do something that looks very similar for number 10. But number 10 says, what about month 10? And there's some numbers there that we don't have. Except I do. I can go to my answer key. So if month 1 was like that, month 10 was like that. And as before, we're going to say there's the interest and there's the payment. So our part divided by whole is going to be $5.17 and 140. 0.03692, blah, 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 blah. So it's about 4%. And this is how most paying things off work, whether it's mortgages or payment plans at a furniture or computer store or things like that. Early on, a large amount of your payment is interest. And later on, you've paid off so much that very little of it is interest. Almost all of it is actually paying off the debt. Does that help?
Yeah, it works right when you, yeah. If you use the right numbers, it,
Yeah. If you're distracted and try and do something with like that amount, then it's not going to work right because that's not one of the numbers we care about. Okay, lots of announcements. Let me get doing announcements also. So first of all, talking about the syllabus, we have a class today and we have a class next time. Actually, I don't normally capture this for the Jamboard, but why don't I today? Just because it's more important than usual. Then I can highlight things. So we have a class today, we have a class next time, and those are the last two scheduled classes. But they're kind of, it's like this class is a study session anyway, right? We're not doing new material. We're just reviewing and reviewing and reviewing. So we have the normal weekly times, yesterday at noon, today at 2, Friday at 3:30. And if you want something next week, let me know. Or if you want something on the weekend, let me know. We don't have anything scheduled during finals week. But if you want something to happen at 10 o'clock on Tuesday or Thursday, because we're used to that, let me know. So it all depends on when you're going to take finals and things like that. How that works, once again, is that you go to the playgrounds and the gymnasia and you find your Math 25 overall test and you try this and practice things. You can look at the answers at the end, grade your work, and try again. And as it mentions at the bottom, then the wrong way to do a practice test is to sit down and try and do all these problems at once, because you can't learn that many things at one time anyway. Our brains learn just one or maybe two things at a time. So realizing that it says pick 3 out of 10 for this section and pick 34 out of 40 for this section, then your first goal might be to find 3 of the review problems you like. So practice just a few of those until you can get 3 out of 10 right. Maybe start with the 2 that you think look easiest. And if you get them both right, then try the 3rd and 4th or something like that. And similarly with our actual Math 25 problems, don't try all of them at once. Do the first few until you get 1 or 2 hard ones, and then check those. And if you get them all right, then start in the middle and keep going. Oops, and I'm seeing another typo. And so just do a few at a time, fixing the ones you get wrong. And when you finally get to the bottom and you've gone through all of them a few at a time, then you can try a big bunch all at once. But just like you're not going to learn a fancy martial arts or skateboarding or ice skating routine trying to do all the steps at once the first time, don't try a math test that way. Start small and build on it once you have the earlier steps done. So when you've taken the Math 20 final and you've finally taken practice tests enough that you can get lots of problems correct, then you can say, I'm ready. I think I can actually take this and do well. So then I will print out, because you've emailed me, 1 copy with answers for me. and one copy without answers for you. So everyone will get their own test. And then I'll email you the version without answers. You'll do your work, write it down. So you'll send me an email that has pictures of your paper, and then I can grade it, and then I'll get back to you, and there's a little bit of oral exam at the end. So just for 5, maybe 10 minutes, we'll talk on phone or Zoom, and I'll say, so you got number 7 correct. Tell me how you did it. Walk me through it. Or, number 9, you made a silly mistake. Can you find your silly mistake, and we'll fix it. Or I might say, some pretend student has done number 15 incorrectly. I'll put their work on the screen. Can you show me where their error was? And so on. And that lets me look into your brain a little better than just reading what you've written out. But the more thorough your answers are when you write things, the more you show me nice steps, the less I will have to ask you when we meet in person or phone or Zoom. So that's how it will work. And I don't care when that happens. If you are ready for that tomorrow, we can start as early as tomorrow. And like everything else in this class, you can do it more than once. But it'll be a waste of time if you can't have a reasonable chance of getting the % score you want. So do enough private practice tests before we do an official one. So some people will be ready soon, and other people will actually wait till finals week and do it when you're supposed to, because you'll need this week to study. And the thing you don't want to do probably is wait till Friday the 12th. If you wait till Friday the 12th, then if you need more than one attempt, you don't have time for that, because Friday is our last day. So go ahead and start one sometime when you're ready. And based on how you're doing, then we can have other study sessions scheduled. I don't know, again, if 10 o'clock Tuesday, Thursday is a useful time or not. So people should let me know that. And if you're listening to this because you weren't in the class time actually, then you can still let me know. Say yes, that works. Or maybe no, 10 doesn't work. That's why I'm not in class. So I always watch the videos afterward. And and if you haven't finalized your finals week schedule, if you're taking other classes, this might not be something that you have a good answer to yet. And that would make sense also. So that's the scheduling one. You can take midterms, which are just portions of the practice final. We already have one in our list for health decisions, and we already have one in our list for personal finance decisions. So I will go ahead after class and make one for business decisions and put it at the bottom of the lecture notes page. And there's an achievement star for doing well on a midterm. It's not required, but it's a good way to practice things anyway. It's the same problems, so you might as well get a star for your practice. So that's another thing, is in the lecture notes page, go down to the bottom and there will be a third midterm there. You only get a star for doing one midterm. So if you've already done one, great. And if you want to do all 3 kinds, you can, but only the first one helps your grade. And let's see, that was that. I think that's all. Any other announcements? No, I think that's it. Okay. Whoops, where did our Jamboard go? Okay, so back to questions. Do people have other homework questions, or should we start looking at a practice test? I know a question you should have. How many problems do I have to get right on the practice test? So let's look at that. So for this section, it says do 34 out of 40. And for this section, let's do 3. So we're doing 37 problems total. The way I grade it, if you answer more than those 37 problems, then I'll pick the best ones you've done. So if you try 4 in the first section and you miss 1, then you'll still get 3 right for maximum points. So it might be worth trying 1 or 2 extra in each of the 2 sections. Okay, in the grading, then to earn an A in the class, you need to get 66% on the final. So we're asking, what is 66% of 37? So rounding up, we get 24.42. So rounding up, you'll need 25 problems right. And I might have changed the grading scheme. So let me see if it actually says that down at the answer key. It used to. So yep, I need to update that. So don't worry about that. I've changed the higher percentages to extra stars. So you can get an A in the class with only 25 right. If you want to earn more than 66, that's great, because then for the problems here about earn 70 or earn 85, you can get more stars. And getting more free stars helps you get a plus, because if you earn 9 more than you need, you get a plus after your letter grade. So you can get 2 of the 9 just by doing well on the final. But even just to get a plain A in the class, all you need is 25 on the final. Okay, enough of that. Whoops, that's not what I want. Other homework questions?
Can we go over probability?
Probability, the turn-in homework?
No, I just want to just quickly go over like the concept of
Okay,
the difference of the two types.
sure. I think the random ones will work well for that.
I got some turn-in ones if you want to do it.
This is what the test will look like, so. If we want to do the other one about the student and the test, we can too. Make this a little bit. Okay. So 9 or more. So when I'm adding up the 2 dice, then there's my 9s. And the 10s also work. And the 11s also work. And that one 12. So these are the results that work. So let's list things out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that work. Overall, we have 6 times 6 is 36 total. And And for the ones I didn't highlight at first, that would be 36 minus 10 is 26 that don't work. I called these desired and undesired in the other lecture. Everyone okay just with my counting?
Yes.
So probability is the desired over the total. So that's 10 and 36. And that's one thing it asks for. Write it as a fraction with denominator 36. And if we turn it into a decimal and a percent, 10 divided by 36 so about 28%. Everything good so far?
Yes.
Odds still has the desired on the top. But on the bottom, we switch to the undesired. And usually, when we have odds, we reduce. Not always, but in most applications we do. So we could say it's 5 over 13, or sometimes people write it with a colon, or sometimes we just use the word 2. So you don't have to write all three of these. I am just showing you that all three are legitimate ways to write it. Should we roll up another random one, or is that good enough?
That's good enough for me.
Okay. I do want to keep going with this one because this is a problem that, especially for people who weren't here last time, will probably be too tricky to try on your own the first time.
Can we do number 6?
Number 6 in the turn-in homework. That one?
Just do that.
What? Which section, number 6?
Likelihood.
Like, okay. I think we've done that one already, but if it doesn't matter, we can do it. Pardon my nose sneezing. If you think the allergies are bad these days, you are correct, right? Counts as high grass pollen when it's 200 and we're at 700, so pardon my sneezing. Okay. The student is about to take a final exam and the grades so far are here. What percent score is needed if they want a 77% overall? So remember the expected value process, we would go across with multiplying. And then at the end, we would go down and add everything up. If that doesn't ring a bell, go back and watch what we did last class. We also take these numbers and change them to their decimals. The ones that say, what percent of the grade is it? Or what percent of the time does this happen? So we have lots of little work problems. 83 times 0.16 is 13.28. 87 times 0.25 is 21.75. 63 times 0.18 is 11.34. 53 times 0.19 is 10.07. And then there's going to be some final one that's something times 0.22. And I don't know what that is. And when I'm all done, I want those to add up to the 77%. So what is this number in the box going to be? If I add up all of these, how close am I to the 77? 13.28 plus 21.75 plus 11.34 plus 10.01. I'm at 56.38. So how do I know what number goes in there? So the whole thing adds up to 77.
Subtract all of those 77.
Yeah. And I get 20.62. So I don't know what this number is, but now I know how to find it. I'm going to have that something times 0.22, reading this final row across, is the 20.62. Divide both sides by 0.22 to get y by itself. Make that look like division. And we get 93, about 94. Now this percent, it wasn't 0.94, I just got 94. But this percent in this column is a label like apples or oranges, right? It's what score they're getting on their test. So it's okay that I'm just putting this percent symbol here. It could be that what they wanted was 94 rocks or 94 inches of rain or something. In this case, it's 94%. So if you had this kind of traditional grading style where you got percents on different categories and each category had a different weight for your end of term grade, then you could do this type of math and say, oh, on the final, I need a 94 in order to get the grade I want in the class. The second thing says, if there were 41 questions, how many do you need to get? Then we're saying, what is 94% of 41? And this is mostly just kind of an easy gimme question because you've done so much work for the previous one that I really want to give you 2 points. So we're rounding up because if they get 38, they won't quite have the grade they want. That was a enormous box. Okay. Everyone okay with 3 and 4 before we move on to Donna's number 6? This is a great one to have an example in your notes. Nothing we did is hard. We did a bunch of multiplying. We did some adding. We did some subtracting. We did some dividing. It's sort of like a tour of arithmetic. But exactly which steps work, if you have a sample problem in your notes, then you don't have to figure it out every time you see this problem. Okay, so you wanted number 6. You might have done this with a student in a study session. It's hard to remember what was in class and what wasn't. Let's do 7 also, just for completeness' sake. Okay, so there's a medicine, and this is a big news event when it happened, but for now we're just treating it like a math problem. So in a control group, then (34 out of 1,700 people would die of breast cancer. So if I find this as a percent, so 2%. So this is the people with no medicine. And this number is telling us that it's just not very likely to die of breast cancer. Most people don't get it. Then there was the treated group. And the medicine did help a little bit. Only 23 people out of roughly the same got it. So this is 0.14. Okay, everyone okay so far? So what's the absolute change? As you mentioned last time, one of the two perfectly normal ways to talk about what's more than something else is subtraction. So 2% minus 1.4% would be 0.6%. And the moral of this story is if you start with a tiny number, then when you take things away, of course, your answer is tiny. Most people are healthy. Most of these women didn't get breast cancer. So since the chance of getting it was so small to start with, then the medicine helped, but it was less than a 1% difference, just because the numbers were so small to work with. If we're only talking about overall people, most of them are healthy and it doesn't do anything. A second perfectly normal way to talk about things is a percent change, to talk about how much bigger something is. Right? If I say how much weight did a dieter lose, you might give me a number of pounds, or you might say they lost 5% over the last 6 months or something like that. So percent change also makes sense as a way to compare things. The change we just found, that's the 0.6. The original was the 2%. And if it doesn't work for you to leave off the percents, I can write them on. So 0.6 divided by 2. So then I get 0.3, which is 30%. So this is saying if you were destined to get breast cancer anyway, then it has a 30% chance the medicine helps you. It does cut down the fatality rate for people that actually had breast cancer. So looking at number 8, the medicine also has some dangerous side effects. There's flu-like symptoms, mild heart problems, even stroke or heart failure. So if you were trying to convince people that this is a bad drug, no, grandma, don't take this because we don't want you to have a stroke, you would use this number. It only helps you less than a 1% chance of the time, focusing on the entire population, the healthy people and the people who would get breast cancer. If you wanted to sell the medicine, or if you had someone that you knew was in a very high risk group for getting breast cancer, then you could use this number and say it has a 30% chance of saving your life. You should take this medicine. The side effects will be worth it. And it's not that people are using the math badly. Both subtraction and percent change are valid ways of saying which is bigger than something else. But you can pick one or the other to make a point. So beware of when people are using statistics. As a timely example, when we look at the pandemic in Oregon, let me do that real quick. So here in Lane County, then we are being pretty much spared by the pandemic. There's only been one person since April 12th that's been hospitalized because of COVID-19 in our county. So if you were to take such a small number, the percentage of people in Oregon, or in Lane County, I mean, that have been hospitalized from this, and try and do subtraction with it, because you're starting with small numbers, your answer is going to be a tiny number. And you could say, oh, this isn't a big deal. We should open up all the businesses, blah, 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 blah. Or you could take the same data and make a percent change. And the fact that both numbers are small will still get a big number, because when you divide small by small, you can get something big. And then you can say, this disease is still dangerous. We have to practice social distancing, blah, 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 blah. So by picking which of these you can use, you can try and influence people. And it's not necessarily that you're trying to lie or you're using the math wrong. It's that you can pick which one suits your agenda. And sometimes people will do this without even realizing, just because they have a certain thing that makes sense in their mind. And according to their preconceived notions, then yeah, this number looks right, or that number looks right. So the moral of the story is be alert. When people are talking about a change of small numbers, then it's easy for them to try and sway your opinion. Should we do 9 or 10?
Yeah.
I did 10 the other day with a study session, so I'm going to do 9 for variety's sake. If you want me to do 10 again, I can. So your little brother thinks that 10 is a very big number, and he wants to play a dice game about the number 10, and proposes a game where you each start with a pile of candies, and he finds the sum of 2 dice several times. And if the sum is less than 10, he gives you a candy. And if the sum is 10 or more, then you give him lots of candy. But he's not sure how many makes this fair. So finish inventing the game. So make sure that it's a fair game. The expected value is 0. So I'm going to go back to our lecture notes. Remember from last class, these expected value tables, just like we did with the how much to get on the final exam problem that we did a moment ago. So we're doing the same things. We'll have our outcomes, our value, our probability, and then we'll multiply. I don't even really have to read the problem to know that these will be the right things to make columns for, because it's an expected value. So we have 2 outcomes. It's either the sum is 2 to 9, or it's the sum is 10 to 12. And he says if it's 2 to 9, then he gives you 1 candy. So from his point of view, it's a -1. And if we roll 10, if he rolls 10 or more, then we have to give him lots of candy. So it's a positive number, and I'm not sure how much it is. Going back to our dice, where's the dice? What's the chance that on 2 dice, the sum will be 2 through 9? So that's that group. So I could count those up, and that's 30 out of 36. So it's going to be about 83%. The 3 repeats. The probability that it's 10, 11, or 12 is 6 out of 36. So 1/6. So 0.16 repeating. So when I multiply those two numbers, we have a negative thing that's -1 times 30 out of 36, or -1 times 0.83 repeating. And we have positive something times that. And I want them to be balanced. So I'm just going to round, get rid of the repeatings. We want these two to be equal. We want y times 0.17 to be equal to the 0.83. One's positive, one's negative, they'll balance out. And overall, no one will get ahead with money. Does that make sense? Donna's muted. It looks like she's talking. If you don't like the positive and negative, then I can just use the words like loss and gain. Maybe that will be better. So this is his loss, and that's his gain. So we want those to overall balance out. And we get about 5. If we didn't round, we would get 5. So that means that it's 5 candies to be fair game. You have to give him 5 candies when you roll a 10, 11, or a 12. And he gives you 1 candy when the dice are a smaller number. We can see that's balanced because 5 times 6 would be 30, which is like the 30 up here.
And you got the 0.17 by adding 1 to
6 divided by 36
0.16
here. Let's try it without the decimals. I think the decimals might be making it worse. So let's just try it again with You are capable at fractions. You can handle it. So this one is going to be 6 over 36. This one is going to be, no, this one is 6 over 36. The other one is 30 over 36. So this one is 1 times 30 over 36. And this one is y times 6 over 36, because I multiply across. And as before, this is the loss, and that's the gain, so we have to set them equal so that overall no candy flows too much. So we want y, oops, then y times 6 over 36 is 30 over 36. Divide both sides by 6 over 36. How does that happen? Dividing by something is the same as flipping and multiplying. These cancel. These reduce. So y equals 5. That looks much cleaner to me. I think the decimals just made it worse on the previous page. The same thing happens for number 10. I don't want to give away too many of your homework problems, at least not today. But I'll start it for you. So someone is starting a food cart business. These numbers are all hypothetical. I'm not sure what the actual numbers would be for a given location. I'm sure it's different in Eugene and Springfield and New York City. But let's imagine that these numbers are right. It might tell us what it's like to try and start a food cart business. So there's a 35% chance that we have a big loss and go out of business. And it says the number for that is minus 10,000. So if I multiply those, that's an expected value of losing 3,500. The next category is we could have a small gain and earn 20,000 with a 30% chance. So that's going to be 6,000 positive. Then we have a medium gain. Which happens 15% of the time. We have a big gain. Which happens another 15% of the time. And we have a huge gain. which happens 5% of the time. Everyone okay with my setup? So once again, we have three numbers. I'm not going to do this yet today, maybe next class. Multiply across, and when you're done, add everything up, and you would get sort of the overall profit of 1 year of running a food cart business. That might let you know as a bank how risky a loan is when someone comes up and says, I want to borrow a bunch of money to start a business. Or it might let you as a relative, when a kid or a grandkid or a cousin says, give me some money, I want to start a food cart business, you can know if you have any chance of getting your money back. So it could be a useful kind of thing to know overall, how profitable is this if someone has typical skill. Okay, other questions?
Can we start with doing the practice test?
Sure. Do you want to do any review problems, or should we jump right to the Math 25 level problems?
Let's do the 25 problems.
Okay. So we're starting, of course, with the health decision topics. They were easy, so we started the term with them compared to some of this later stuff, but it's also been 9 weeks. So maybe some of this has just disappeared from our brains and is only in our notes, because that happens. Are there any of these we should do to review?
Can we do a patterns problem?
A patterns one. Oh, okay. This is a common one to skip, by the way, just because people don't like drawing tables. It does take a bit of time. This term, since your test is not a timed test, it's less of an issue. So if we have n and we have 4n plus 3, then as we're counting, actually I want to move this over so I have room, don't I? So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11, and so on. We're going to get 4 bigger each time. We could keep going, but it says 4 rows is enough, so I'll only do what it's asked. So if I want to draw things, then we have the 3 that's always there, and we have groups of 4 that we're adding each time. So we could draw 1, 2, 3 that are always there each time. And then the first time we have 1 group of 4. The next time we have 2 groups of 4. The third time we have 3 groups of 4. The last time we have 4 groups of 4. and so on. And for some people, this is not helpful. And for other people, they can say, it's 4 however many times and 3 more at the end. And that's where my number comes from. When you look at your answers, by the way, then since it can't do color, then it just uses different shapes. So it would say, here's the 3, and then here's a 4 and a different kind of 4, back to the first kind of 4, different kind of 4. So it's trying to be polite, but it's limited with what it can do. Should we do another one, or was that good?
I was more talking about the
You can do
reverse,
that.
where you have to make the formula.
Okay. Well, that one I can't actually do because it's too hard to have the test generate random tables for you.
Oh, then that's easy enough.
Anything else from what you can see on the screen that you want to do? If not, I'll scroll down a little.
You could try 6.
6? Oh, okay. I'm going to do 6 and 7. Since they go together. So we need to go all the way back to metabolism. We had these BMR formulas. Hopefully these are in your notes. And then we also had the scale factors. So since this person is a moderately active woman, we're going to use the woman's formula there, and we'll use the number for moderately active in women there. So her BMR is the weight times the 4.55 plus the height. And remember that we have to take this and make it only inches. So 5 times 12 inches, because each of the feet is 12 inches, plus 4 more inches. She's 54. And then the calculator does all of that. Let's see, 115. So we get about 1,275 calories per day. remember that this was if she was not moving at all. She's stuck in a hospital bed. Something terrible happened. It's just her metabolism burning calories to function. Keep her warm, keep her heart going, digestion, and so on. Actually, I think digestion was a separate category, so I'm lying. But fortunately, she is not immobile. She does move around. So her DCI, we take that previous answer and we multiply it by the scale factor. And we get about 2090. To me, too much like 0.5. Oh. Questions about that one? A pleasant old friend you haven't seen in a while, but you can get points on the test. How about any of those?
Let's do 13.
13?
Unless you already did it.
Okay. So we have 1.0625 as cups. The 1 is just going to stay 1 cup. But what we're looking for is that one we're going to change into tablespoons. Is my setup okay?
Yes.
So what we're really asking is 0.0625 cups is how many tablespoons? Because the 1 in front is just hanging out. So maybe you know what to multiply or divide by. Maybe it doesn't make sense that I have that intuition. Maybe it's not clear if I'm multiplying or dividing. If you don't have the intuition, a proportion will keep you safe. It will always make sure you're doing the right thing. So we know that 1 cup has how many tablespoons?
16.
16. And this should just be in your notes somewhere. So this is the conversion rate from notes. And on the other side, we have this problem. So if cups is on top, cups has to stay on top. Tablespoons is on bottom, tablespoons has to stay on bottom. And this problem has 0.0625, and I don't know how many. Then I can cross multiply. Y times 1 is 16 times 0.0625. Oops, I wrote things wrong up here. One moment. I think I said it right out loud, but I certainly wrote it wrong. Okay, so what is 16 times that?
1.
So 1. Oops. Drew P1. So we'll put a 1 there and be done. If you've done a bunch of these, then all of this work is extra. You would just have a good intuition to get from cups to tablespoons and multiply by 16. If you worked in the kitchen a lot, that would be very natural. But if we don't, then we might as well do the proportion because we have time. There's no time limit on the test. And it will tell us with the cross multiplying, we're going to multiply by 16. And we can say, oh yeah, I should have known that. Duh.
Okay.
Sometimes Elizabeth's Zoom square lights up, but I don't hear anything. So if you're trying to...
But I'm good, or thank you.
Okay, just making sure you're not trying to talk and I can't hear you.
Oh yeah, no, I am muted it. So.
Okay. Should we do more of these?
Sure. Let's see, let's do one that was having a hard time with. Let's do, I don't know, let's do 22, I guess.
23?
Yeah, 22 or 23.
22 or 23. Okay, let's do both because 22 is sort of easy mode and 23 is the harder one.
Okay, yeah.
So it's good with similar problems. Let's do the simpler one first and then see what makes the other one harder. Okay, so now we're in the simple interest. So in this problem, everything goes kind of nice and straight. We have the principal. We have the interest rate. And for years, remember, we had to take the days and make it part of a year. So it's 126 days out of 365 days. Does that ring a bell from a while ago?
Yeah.
And since fractions is just top divided by bottom, we would often not write it as a fraction because it's friendlier on the calculator to write this as 126 divided by 365. And we knew that this was the rate per year. And this together is the portion of a year. Does that also ring a bell? Not sure what happened. Okay. So that's nice. I just have my calculator multiply and divide. I can go right to left. I'm sorry, left to right. There's no trickiness happening, except I can't remember my lefts and rights. Oh, $212 and 62 cents.
Okay.
It would have been nicer if this was a number of years, like 5 years. Then we could just put a 5 here.
Oh, right. So what happens if it was like 5 years? Do I still divide it by 365?
No, because then it's not a portion of a year. We're not doing the fraction of part
Okay.
over whole. Okay. If it was a 5 years, we just put a 5
So
right
if
here
it was
for
a
the whole thing.
portion, like,
So
okay. I
the
was
formula
kind of
is
curious
designed.
about that because sometimes I get confused by doing that. Okay.
The formula is designed to count years. So the fact that we don't have a full year meant we had to put a fraction in.
Okay.
So for this one, it's a little trickier. There were two things. Let me move this down a little. First, the interest is given to us. It's the amount that she writes a check for minus the amount of the loan. And the interest rate, we aren't told. This again, I could do 25 over 365, which looks more like a fraction of 1 year, but I'm going to write it as 26 divided by 365 because that fits in the calculator better. So we still have the fact that it's not counting years to deal with. But we also have to remember that we had to find the interest and we're solving for a y in the middle now. So how did we do this? It's okay to switch the order when you multiply things. And then all of this I can write as one number. So that's why we're now having y times that. So I need to divide both sides by that. to get y by itself. And it's a long decimal, but that's okay. I can still divide by it. My calculator doesn't care. So 1794 divided by previous answer key gives me about 0.11, so 11%.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let me ask again, since it's almost time to go, because you weren't here at the beginning. So in our class calendar, we don't have anything scheduled for next week. If you want me to continue to do a study session at 10 in the morning on Tuesday or Thursday or both, let me know. And if you're just going to be working on practice tests and who knows when things are going on, that's fine too.
Yeah, Wednesday morning probably work. I'd like to go over some of the other stuff that I missed last week.
Yeah, Wednesday I'm going to give priority to the Math 20 students because they normally meet Monday, Wednesday. But you're welcome to show up.
Okay.
If they're not asking questions nonstop, then I can certainly have any of you fit in as Math 25 students too.
Okay, that'll work.
And if you
What
want
time is
something
it?
else, let me know and I'll put it on the calendar.
See, Thursday I have class, or what about a little bit, or do you have time after class on Wednesday? Or what time on Wednesday?
I'm not sure how long this 10 o'clock one will last. Again, I don't know if one person will show up or 10, so we'll see.
Okay,
If you want something like at 1 or 2, let me know and I can put it on so that people have notice and more people can plan to be there.
on Wednesday, yeah, I can do probably 1 to 2.
Okay, so I will put on 1 p.m. Wednesday.
Or yeah, we'll just at least do a half hour or something. Sorry, Wednesdays are my busy days too.
Okay. And earlier in the video, I gave a bunch of explanation about how the final will work and how to take practice finals and things like that. So go back and see that.
What was anything due today?
Nope, I don't think so.
So what's due on Thursday?
So the saving for retirement was due on last week.
Did I ever get that?
For this material, then we haven't had questions on markup and margin today or on pricing. So those will actually have a due date of next class. Charge options and likelihood will never have a due date. You should turn them in, but they can't be late.
Okay, I'll get those done. I thought I did some of them, but maybe I got them wrong. I'll have to probably go back and look at it.
And markup margin pricing is just one thing. Remember, they're combined together. So.
Okay.
Okay, anything else before we're done?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, have a good
Thank you.
week. Have good practice tests. And bring questions on Thursday. So we'll have more things to talk about.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank you, David.
Bye-bye.
Bye.